Hello and welcome back to Homesteading with Cody. Uh, we're going to plant onion seeds today. What you're seeing me here do is sift the soil, which I always do when we do soil blocks. Today we're going to plant 1,520 onion seeds. I know that sounds like a lot, but in reality it's not. By the time you get your germination and everything done, I didn't measure any of the soil here. I'm just going by fill. And I'm still using the Miracle Grow seed starting bag. And you do want to make sure your soil is wet enough that when you squeeze it, you drip out a little bit of water. You don't want it too saturated, but you want it wet enough that it'll hold its shape with the soil blocks. And we are using the 3/4 inch micro soil block today. I feel like every time I do this, I'm mixing up bread or pasta. I've done a little bit of research. I know I'm in zone 6B, but I haven't really found a lot of information on when to start onion plants or seeds. So what I have found is candy onions, you want to start 8 to 10 weeks before your last frost date. And their germination temperature needs to be around 75 degrees. And I also have found that even during the germination process, you want to water your seedlings a lot more to keep them moist. Obviously, I'm not using humidity domes, I'm just using plastic wrap on my trays. And I have found out with the miniature soil blocks that they do dry out a lot faster than if you have the little plastic trays with the humidity domes.
Today I'm using the 3/4 inch soil block.
And when these start coming up, I will be spraying some liquid fertilizer on them, which is the fish fertilizer. I bought it at Walmart. But when you go to transplant, you want to make sure that you prep your soil. And the best fertilizer to use for that is 20-20-20. And you want to do that a week before you transplant them into the ground. And I will probably be up potting these to the 2-inch soil block before they get transplanted out into the garden. But you'll have to follow along to see that process. And I am using tweezers to put them in, and I'm just laying them on top right now, and I actually go back on each tray and kind of shove them down in the block without destroying the block. It was a lot of onion seeds to be planting. But the 20-20-20 fertilizer helps with root development. It helps with the growth of the vegetable itself. And you'll want to fertilize after you put them in the ground I've read anywhere between a week, do it every week to every 2 weeks to every 3 weeks. So use your own judgment on that part. And candy onions only take 85 days to mature. And they are getting started in the greenhouse, so I'm not too worried about having light on them because they actually get natural daylight right now. I know some seeds, they say requires light, but they're in the greenhouse, so I'm not going to turn my grow lights on yet. And I'm not even putting these on the heat mat because my greenhouse is running about 75. It floats between 70 and 80 degrees all the time. I have 2 little heaters in there that heat it, and they do great. And I do cover these with vermiculite. And I have found that once I put the vermiculite on, I actually have a pump sprayer that I go back through and mist all the tops of the vermiculite to go ahead and get it wet to help hold that moisture in on top of the seeds. And it works really well. I just don't pump it up very much, and it puts out a nice mist to wet the vermiculite. And I also started red grando onions. I didn't find much information on those either. So I'm just playing it by ear. And onion seeds take about anywhere between 10 to 20 days to germinate if they're at the right temperature and everything. And we'll probably do a lot of if the onions do well, we will do a lot of dehydrating of them for like minced onions. And I actually water a lot of my plants with this sprayer. And after I got the onions planted, I did add some fish fertilizer in that water and watered the others that I have coming up. Little fun fact about vermiculite, it's actually a rock that is heated up and it pops like popcorn to make it the light and fluffy it is. And I do label my trays. I have a little white stick I stick in there, and you'll see that in just a second. And I do count how many I have on each tray and write it on that label. That's how I keep track of how many I got on each tray and what they are. And the plastic wrap seems to be working good. And if you want to get into soil blocking, I bought mine off Amazon. You can also buy them from Haas Tools. I got my onion seeds from Haas Tools. I've never had a problem with them, with Haas Tools on anything I've bought from them. Here I'm doing the red onions. But these trays is what I've made at home. You can use cookie sheets from Dollar Tree. Whatever your budget will allow you to do. I just have brother's that's into racing, so I get access to sheet metal. So that's why I decided to make my trays. Thanks for watching.